So today,
Yeah, right.
we'll be talking about everyone's favorite part of life. Grief.
Grief.
Oh.
Yeah. Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Welcome back to another episode of
Talkin'
Shit
Ooh.
with your host.
I'm Prodigy Cute.
This is Teddy and I'm
Come
Amanda.
on now.
Hello. So today,
Oh, yeah, right.
we'll be talking about everyone's favorite part of life. Grief.
Grief.
Oh.
Yeah, that's so funny. I just imagine it like sliding.
Yeah,
You have to put it in there like.
I guess trigger warning. Let's start off with one. We're going to be
Yes.
talking about death. We're going to be talking about some of our personal experiences. But we're also going to be giving you some resources.
Yes.
Yeah. So we can kick grief's ass. Let's go.
I think grief is important though.
Yeah.
I believe in the 7 stages, and I think that is necessary to allow yourself to go through all of them.
Yeah.
And
Well, I looked up talking about the 5 stages, but I think there is a 7th stage
there's a
too.
7 stage, yes.
But it's also important to talk about that we're not just talking about death. Like, there are many different types of grief.
Absolutely.
You know, you could you go through grief with a job loss,
right.
with the friends, with relationships, you go through a different kind of grief when someone's been diagnosed with a chronic illness.
Right.
Like, there's many different ways to grieve. And however you react is okay. Like,
right.
You do what you need to.
And I remember, same thing, like going through a breakup, I remember telling myself, like, you know, it's okay to allow yourself to go through whatever you have to go through, you know, because I think what happens is a lot of people get hemmed up and stuck on one of the stages and never move past it, and then you're in that loop of it. But allow yourself to acknowledge it, you know, when you get, you know, okay, I feel angry, I feel depressed, I feel, you know what I'm saying, allow yourself to feel that and then process that feeling, you know, okay, well, it's not, you know, you're really angry about this situation that happened, or I'm angry that I can't do anything about your sickness, or, you know, you get to that point and then you begin to like start finding those resolutions. But again, some people get stuck on, I'm angry at, you know what I mean, I'm angry at the person, so I'm gonna stay angry, and, you know. And it's only gonna fester in your body, like, whether you let your mind feel the grief or not, your body's gonna feel it. Right. And your body's gonna feel it more if you don't let your mind like tap in and access that part of life. That's normal. Like, it sucks, but it's normal to go through, and it's just a part of life. And I think it does help you appreciate the good times for sure when you're able to work through the tough times, because I think it's harder to appreciate the good if you're like still haven't even begun the process of going through the bad. But before we dive deeper, I just want to say, I know I've heard of 7 stages too, but the 5 stages are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And a lot of people think that this is linear and that like you go through each one, but it really is like a process and an ebb and flow. And there are times of grief that I've gone through where like I'm at acceptance for a really long time, and then I'll switch to anger, and then I'll switch to denial, and like I'll go all over the place, and it's like a constant cycle that you have to go through, especially with the death of a loved one, especially if like I feel like the more unexpected it is, then I agree.
Then maybe the more cycles that you take in the grief, but I feel like the grief could take longer if it was more expected. Like the process could take longer, but you would maybe go into the process a little
like sooner. Like if you know somebody's sick or something, it's like
like you already worked on acceptance for so long that I feel like you don't cycle quite as much, even though the pain might be the same or more or anything. You know, it's like I feel like I don't know. In some ways, I wonder if the grief is like a little bit of a shorter process and not a shorter, and that's the weird thing with grief, because it's like I feel like any way I talk about it, I feel guilty, because I feel like sometimes going through the grief feels like I'm forgetting about my loved one, or it feels like I'm like not like thinking about their importance anymore. Right. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I don't know, because like in retrospect, you know, I feel like I go through grief rather quickly, you know, especially because I do try to be, you know, of course aware of things, especially like, you know, death and stuff like that. Like, you know, I'm already conscious of my mortality, so I live in that, and I understand that the you know, I mean, that's like the only thing that is kind of really guaranteed to all of us is that. So I look at it from those kind of different things, and so it allows me to process some of those things a little bit quicker because I already have that. But again, like you said, what it is something that is unexpected, then it still does have those kind of, you know, lingering effects a little bit more than, like you said, something that, you know, you've known was kind of coming, or you already had opportunities to really prepare for. But you know, but I do, again, like I said, just do think it's important to go through it for sure. Like, that's the biggest thing for me. Like, allow yourself to go through, and even if it does come back, you know, it's like, okay, well, today I feel pretty good, but then now I'm kind of, you know, then allow that, but don't. The biggest thing for me is like when people sit in it, you know what I mean? Like, don't sit in your whatever point you're at, you know.
Yes and no, because sometimes I think some people need to sit. Sometimes
sit to process. Sit to process, but don't sit to dwell. Or, you know, I don't know, like
avoid.
Yeah. Avoid it. You know what I mean?
Like you're like in this like depression state, so you don't want to be depressed. So then you avoid even entering that stage, and processing that stage. That's what. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. That's exactly what I mean. Exactly.
But also at the same point,
you're right. You do need to
do what you need to do. Like as long as you're not hurting anybody or yourself, whatever stage in, you're good. You know.
That is the big takeaway.
That's the biggest thing in the world. There's no like one way to do grief and to deal with it, and it affects everybody very differently. And it also, like, I mean, all the grief that I've gone through in my life, like, there's been best friends, we've ended relationships, like my longest relationship. You know, there's been several other people in my family that have died, but I'm just gonna open it up. The big reason why I really wanted to do this episode is that it's about to be 10 years since I lost my sister. And it was very quick, and we didn't expect it, and that grief that I like go through every day. Like, sometimes I'm really accepting of it, and sometimes I like have little moments that remind me of her, and like I'm able to laugh and be like, I know you're here with me. Sometimes it's just like I can't do anything that day, because even in the soulmates episode, like, my sister was one of my soulmates for sure, and I know that. Like, I had such a strong relationship with her and connection, and my entire life I looked up to her, and she was older than me, so it's like really weird because I've already lived longer than her for so many years, and that's what really trips me up, because it's also like I think about my growth during this whole time, and it's like I'll never really know who she could have become, and where she would have been now, and that's definitely the hardest part. And I just wanted to be able to like give, I don't know, like, I feel like sometimes I avoid talking about her because of the pain, and I wanted to dedicate something and like in her honor to me, like, and I hope that you dedicate this episode to like someone in your life that you have had like the biggest grief with or anything. But for me, this one is for her and for me to deal with. And I actually have the last birthday present that she gave me. She gave me this locket, and she's such a bitch that she put the ugliest pictures of me. She would look at how bad these are. I still kept them in there because of her. Yes, she chose ugly ones. And then she looks so cute in this one. I'm like, oh my God. And she told me she like picked bad ones, of course.
I love that.
She was a bitch in the worst. I mean, in the best way, not in the worst way. I was gonna say in the worst way, in the best way. Although, Chan, sometimes it wasn't the worst way, but mostly in the best way.
Yeah.
And see, you can talk shit about your dead loved ones too.
You can. All of it, all the memories.
It's just all with love. Like, she's my favorite person in the world, so I miss her every day.
Absolutely.
But sometimes I think about memories of us, and that like really fills my day. My favorite thing is when I dream about her, because it's like the closest I'll get to creating new memories with her, and that's really cool.
That is beautiful.
But yeah, if you want to talk about any of your people, you don't have to share anything you don't want to.
And it's crazy because for a long time I felt when it come to loss like that, I felt very fortunate because for a long time we hadn't lost anybody, and comparatively, saying like I was almost a badge of honor almost, but also at the same time always made me see everybody like that daunting idea, because like I said, I'm aware of my mortality and everybody, everybody else's, so it's always like, well, it hasn't happened yet, but, and then it did, maybe, I ended up losing like 3 family members kind of like really like back to back, but a lot of them was like health things and stuff like that, so that was kind of unexpected. But for me, like one of the biggest was one of my friends I met here, or once I moved here, and it was so crazy because he wanted to be a musician, so he did music and stuff, and he came here like the same way I did, like not knowing anybody, and we became friends through a mutual friend. But it was really dope because at that particular time I really didn't have like much of anything. Like I wasn't working, and I just really had enough to like pay rent and stuff, and it was just crazy. So we would like go like hustle his CDs and stuff. Like it was so fun. Like we used to jump the train and go to we would hit like every mall, and he was good at it. Like he had his little pitch, and I've seen people live. It was so crazy too. Like when you talk about your dream and putting value on it, because I've seen people. If we talk about CDs. You know what I mean? And where he's selling literally CDs, I'm seeing people literally give him $20 for his CD. Wow. You know what I mean? People don't even listen to it. Don't even listen to CDs, but when you see the passion and you get that drive, and then it's all about again like the value of like your art and yourself, and people put whatever kind of tag you put on yourself.
Yeah.
And even though he was really
that's true.
Many times he was just really asking for donations. Oh, we take whatever. It was really dope because a lot of times even we didn't make much. Like in the day. We might get, he might make enough just possibly to get, maybe something to, burn, smoke on, and then, maybe a plate of food that, we both would share. He would like, like, it was just dope because it's like, this is like money you're supposed to be using like really for you, but here I am, I don't have nothing, and you're, so it made me just see that his heart, and, he was a great guy, just, one of those kind of unique spirits of people that you just kind of never meet ever again. And it was so unfortunate because it was one of those things where it was sudden. He had just moved into a place, and another place, new place, and he was excited about it. He's like, come over, want you to see the place, and it was dope. So I was working a shift, and I'm like, it's perfect. It's easier to get to there from where you're at, from where I am. So I was like, I come over. It was really dope. He made this like little stew. He's like, we go to the store. I'm gonna, cook for you. It's all good. And this was like Friday that night. We chilled, and then I went to work, and then and then apparently it was sudden too. Getting killed by a drunk driver. That Saturday night. So Saturday night. Of course, I found out like Sunday. So it's like, so for me, it was like being one of the last people to kind of see him on, really, I mean, of course he like went to work stuff, but, just being like, yo, like I just saw him. He was just there. He was the type of person too, like I have a tendency sometimes where I get in my way and I go ghost and these things I'm dealing with a lot. But he always made it adamant of like never let me go too far without calling in or just checking up on me or you good or just wanted to make sure you're okay. And so it was perfect because you don't meet those kind of people often, who literally, especially the kind of, like say for me it wasn't like I know him for years, like I just met like maybe. I mean, I maybe a year might have been, at that point, might have been a year, and so to make somebody that quick, and then they're just as quick as they come, they're gone, but they leave such an impact. And the same thing, like he was so young, so I think about that too, like what he could have done, or I mean, especially with even the way he was trying to push himself, like I really feel like he would have, definitely been somebody big, because the way he pushed himself, so.
Had that riz, as the kids
say.
say.
He definitely had that riz, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, and so it's just one of those things, and I remember going to the funeral, like, and I never met his family. I talked like his mom before, stuff like that. I was just like, stuff like that, but I never met his family. But I'm at the funeral and stuff, and I'm like, I was balling, like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure his folks are really looking like, yo. Who is this? Like, who is this guy?
Mystery man.
Right, but of course it wasn't at the end. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're such and such, that. But of course they're like, who is this guy? Of course I'm trying to get close to that because at that time, I mean, I didn't know nobody else, that, like we had like no mutual. We did have a mutual friend, but that friend, chose not to go, and they knew him longer. So I think maybe for them it was.
Avoiding,
So,
see, I need that. I need the funeral to process, or at least like a viewing or like something. I need some kind of like final event.
And it was also interesting because so apparently like at the end of his life he became Muslim, and so they do a little things different because they had him covered, because they're like you remember them when they were standing and not. So they cover them the whole time. But
I definitely wish my sister was covered because she actually died with her boyfriend. They got hit by a reckless driver, and another person almost died too. But I wish I wouldn't have seen both of them because they both looked really different. Yeah, especially him. But they both looked really different, and now I always have that image like burned into my mind.
Yeah.
But I also feel like I needed to see her to know it was real. Because I kept on, even after it happened, like I'm really thankful that I didn't check social media that day while this was happening. I was doing homework because people posted about it before I even knew.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because it was like where the wreck was, there was a bunch of people that knew us there. And yeah, people posted about it before the police even knocked on our door. And I just remember when they did knock, like me and my mom just both like collapsed on the ground. And then I was just telling my dad, like I had to call my dad. And then I was like crying, just Chandler's dead. That's like all I could say. And which was a horrible way to tell him, but I have to give myself grace because like what do you do in those moments, but yeah, that was crazy. And then I checked social media like right after that, and people had been saying stuff to me. Yeah. And then this just shows what huge impact she had, because then within like a couple of hours, there were at least like 100 people on our driveway and in our yard. And just like sharing stories about her and being there for us. And I had a lot of friends come through. Even I told people, I was like, no, don't, like, I'm fine. Like, I'm great. I'm having a great time. No need for comfort. And people just did not accept that as an answer, and they came anyways, and I'm just, like, so thankful for that. But something really cool and weird happened that night that I never really talked about, and only my like old best friend knows about this because we experienced it together. I don't know if she listens to this, but so there was like one time in the middle of the night, like some of my friends spent the night with me, and there was a time in the middle of the night where I used to run away all the time as a child. That's what I did when I got upset. So I ran out of the house and like just ran in the yard until I physically collapsed on the ground. Was like crying, and then she woke up because of it and came after me and just like held me and rocked me on the ground. And then we look up and like really like at the tree line, like right above our heads, is this weird contraption that I swear it was aliens or something. Like, I swear it was not. I looked up a bunch of government airplanes. I looked up a bunch of planes and like how low they can be to the ground. Like, none of them could be that low to the ground, first of all, and none of them looked like that. It was like, it looked crazy, and she's the only one that can vouch for this. It was insane. So I felt like, I don't know, like she went with the aliens or something. I think she would enjoy that, like going to space and stuff.
Yeah, that's okay.
But I definitely wonder about, because I think he was her person. Like, he was amazing. His family's amazing, which I didn't meet until after, but they were amazing. Like, he even brought my mom like a big bouquet of flowers for her birthday too, and like he treated Chandler really nice, really right, and like helped her with a bunch of her struggles, and like he just treated us well. He was very different than like who she had been with before. I felt like they both like deserved each other in the best way, and like would build each other up and be there for each other. So I definitely think about if they would have kids, but I am a funeral queen, so I need to go to funerals to get over it, because people have been dying in my life left and right since I was like 2. Because my grandma died when I was 2, and I don't remember when she died, but I remember my grandpa's funeral because I was like almost 3. He died like 8 months or so after her. And we were at his house when he died though, so I remember that too. Like, yeah. Which was wild. But I remember like the horrible carpet and like walking in there and seeing him, and that was just wild. But then when my great grandma died, I like gave a speech. I was always the one that gave speeches at funerals. Like, no matter what age, I was like 8 then or something, and I gave the speech. And I don't know how many other people talked, but I think I was one of the only ones, honestly. And at my sister's funeral, I was the only one. Because, like, we grew up Catholic, and there only one person gives the eulogy, period. Which is honestly a crazy rule. Catholics, could you change that? Because, like, I feel like we should be able to celebrate our loved ones, like, fully. But I did them justice in mine because I didn't realize how... I also say a lot of like things that sound sexual that I don't think of as sexual, and sometimes I purposely do, but sometimes I don't. Right. And other people are picking up on it, and I'm still not realizing that that's what they're thinking about. So I told this story of her and Jacob like right before, where they like were laying under the covers, but she had him hidden, and then they formed their bodies together and made this mega butt, and where it looked like she was real thick and just had a huge butt, and like, I can't remember what else the rest of the story was, because it was back then, so it was like, I remembered the other details, but I remember I went on and on about how they were under the covers, and they created one human body and created one mega butt. And like everyone in there, even the priest was like, I don't know what to do. And we didn't even know this priest. So it was extra like, and I remember all her friends after the funeral would like crack up, and they were like, she would have loved that story. Like, you told a story that made it sound like I walked in on them having sex in front of the priest in this like beautiful Catholic church, and I was only speech.
Right, everybody's like, "Where is the story going?"
I know.
Go to the confessional.
Right, exactly. I know that's what he thought. Right. He was like, "The Lord help her through this process." Come on.
That's so cool.
But she definitely would have loved that. And one story, when I was thinking about stories to tell, I do want to tell this one real quick because it's really funny. You know that song where it's like, skeet, 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 skeet? Okay, well, I didn't know what that meant at the time. And my sister told me not to say that. And then I literally got in her face and was like, skate, 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 and was like screaming it right outside our child at home, like for all neighbors to hear. And that's one of my favorite memories because she got so mad and I kept on saying it, and I just reflect as I'm older. I'm like, oh my God, I can't.
That is hilarious.
I said that, but yeah, that's one of my stories. What about you? What's a funny memory of one of your loved ones? And they could still be alive. It could be mourned relationships, like.
I don't know. That was kind of on the spot for me.
Okay, we don't have to. Here, I have. Okay, so should I go to tips?
Okay, let's go to this.
Okay. I just felt like I've been talking a lot, so I was like.
Oh no, it's not.
Trying to share the wealth, share the grief, share the experience. So there is this therapist online, been doing videos for years. Steph Anya. It's Anya. So she's experienced, like, she shared her experience of, like, losing her mother and grandmother, but, like, talk about, you know, things that we've said of, like, grief isn't just death, like, and it doesn't hit everybody the same. It's a very different process for everybody. No one, basically, like, what I really believe is, like, no one should have expectations on themselves. Now, period, if you're going out there hurting people or hurting yourself or, like, being malicious, like, that's your problem. That's not the grief. But, you know, if you're depressed for longer, if you don't want to go out, if you are partying too much, like, whatever you end up doing is valid, and just get through this as safely as possible.
Right, absolutely.
But here are some ways that will help you get through it a lot easier and with ease and less destruction.
Yeah.
So definitely share that you're struggling with your support system. Like, I know that there were friends that I definitely did share with, but it was kind of weird with me and my parents. We, like, I mean, of course, we didn't really want to talk about it.
Right.
So I'm glad that I share with my friends, because I didn't want to make my parents feel worse. I didn't want to share with them.
That's a big thing I do too. I try to make sure I at least I'm communicating how I feel with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, except most people, especially my friends, for sure.
And I did have, like, this is also, theirs was one of the biggest viewings that they've ever had in that funeral home ever, if not the biggest. Like, literally off-duty cops came to, like, watch the road because there were so many people out. There were thousands of people that came to their viewing. Like, they made such a huge impact on not only my life, but, like, thousands of other people's lives. And that was very beautiful to have. So that was also a sign for me that I had people to lean on, and I didn't have to lean on the ones that were also hurting just as much as me or more. I could lean on the ones that were hurting, but, like, had some shared experiences we could laugh about, that we could focus on some other things, but heal together.
Right, absolutely. Well said.
Thanks. Another one, seek that professional help, baby.
Yes.
And there are actually a lot of programs that are free with grief. There's, like, a whole different, there's a huge list, and I definitely am going to share this link in our description, but it's like counseling.org has mental health resources for, like, a million different things, not just grief, a bunch, and they give you a lot of free resources. And one of the groups that is really great if you, like, lose the death of a child is compassionatefriends.org. And there's 500 chapters in all states, and also in DC and Puerto Rico and Guam. It's been around for 40 years. Oh, nice. They have like services, meetings in Spanish too, and you can request, like, a packet. So if somebody and your loved ones, they're not going to go to a meeting, but they need help, like, grieving, you can get some information packets from them. Also, before I forget, let me just share these numbers and then we'll get back into it. But the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is 988. And then the Unalive suicide hotline is 1-800-SUICIDE, which is a real fun thing. No, but we're very grateful for the hotline. It's just not fun that it's like 1-800-SUICIDE. Like maybe fix that. But we're grateful for the service. Thankful for you. Let's get some marketing folks in there and let's discuss how that makes people feel. Okay, but and then there's like a Families Anonymous for Addiction and Recovery. That's 1-800-736-9805. Al-Anon family groups, and that's 1-888-425-2666. Unfortunately, it is 3 6s. And postpartum depression, that's 1-800-944-4773. But there's just some of the resources for you. There's many, many more out there. So besides that, you can find a grief support group. That's some of those shared there. You could do similar to what we're doing here and share stories of you and your loved ones. Share and pour it into your art or journal or talk about it. It doesn't have to be just a conversation. Some of the best art is made out of grief too. So. And do something in their honor, like either something that they wanted to do or something that they wanted you to do. Like that's a big push in my dreams, is that my sister always believed in me and always pushed me to follow my dreams. And like,
same thing.
And
I be feeling it too, like you, like to my friends like that. It's like I think about that, like I'm kind of like living kind of for you in a sense, you know? Because you know things you're not gonna maybe get to do. It's like so I have the duty to live, you know, it becomes like that. You know?
It's a really weird thing though, because it is like a mental exercise, because I'm thankful that I'm doing stuff for them, but also sometimes it like feels like too much pressure. I'm like too hard on myself if I don't do something all day long, because I'm like, I just took that day for granted. But sometimes you need the rest to get back, go harder the next day. And I know that it's just a weird battle, because I just want to be living more in general. In general, I'm so sick of like living in this adult bullshit world.
Go to work, go home, pay a bill.
Just go home, clean, like go grocery shopping, cook something, go to sleep. Like I'm so sick of that being my life and stuff, you know. I'm very thankful for my life. I just want to like really live it. Really live it. And like honestly, this podcast has brought a lot of life to me. So I feel like I'm finally doing something like for myself and also for other people, and for like sharing in community that I've really been wanting.
Search for,
so we're here for you too. If you can't think of other people to talk to throughout your grief, like reach out to us. We are more than happy to be there for our people. Like you're our people.
Our people, you have people.
You know? We're a family, bitch.
Talk to me. Just say.
Oh my god, I did see that scary movie the other week though. Oh, sorry. That made me think a lot about oh my god, there's so many things. I can't go into it. That is a scary movie. So, and then also one thing that I really want to do is learn from stories of other people that like they hung out with outside of you, because you get to see who they are again through their eyes. And through their experiences. And then some people find like writing a letter to them or writing a letter from their perspective, like in reply to your letter, helps them a lot. And there's a lot of different things I could go into, but I want to also hear about your advice for grief and like what has helped you.
I'm big on, I spent, with the memories, like I think about them often. I think about the person often, I speak and carry them as though they're with me.
Not in past tense,
because
that does help sometimes,
And but I do again live, but I do live in the reality that they are no longer here, and so.
But you don't want to be like, "Hi, nice to meet you. My sister died."
Right.
Hi, nice to meet you. One of my close friends had a major impact, and they're not here. Like,
right.
You know.
Right. But I love opportunities where, because even still, those stories come up, or somebody might mention somewhere.
I try to keep her alive as long as I can before I have to break the news.
Absolutely. You know? And saying like, so it's like, oh yeah, I'm trying to do this and that, or we're going to do this, and so I keep them alive in that. And then, like I said, I just feel like I have that major goal of, like I said, just living, And for me, that's the biggest thing I've always been grateful for is life. And it's so crazy because, it's all around, we got wars and stuff currently going on and all these kind of things now. So death is always very imminent and it's close. And, a lot of us just getting over, some people that we lost during COVID and stuff like that. So, it can be disastrous. It could be health things. And so I say the biggest thing is even more than that, and love the people that's in your life.
That you got,
love them, and that was the thing for me where it started doing
and
that.
Say you love them.
That was the thing I was going to say. Like, that's the big thing for me is being vocal about my love for people, or making sure that while I'm here, I'm saying things to certain people like, I want that shirt. Like I want you to know. I want you to know I really love you. I want you to know, this, and this. I want you to know. And I had a friend the other day. I was like, it was so random. I was like, yeah. By the way, I just want you to know that I value, our relationship. I value, because I think it's important that we do give. We receive our flowers, and of course we give. Yeah. We give flowers, so that way, again, if your time or someone else's, at least how they felt, and then of course they have no doubt that this is how that person felt about me. This is how they view me. This is the impact. So I try to make that known, like letting people around me know the impact they make in my life, and that I value them, and that they see it while I'm here, so then while I'm gone, they know and have that comfort. So yeah, that helps me. That helps me. It helps me. And even with new relationships, even going in new relationships and meeting new people and new friends or whatever, I'm going with that same thing, That's what it's about, man. I believe it's true that, people will forget what you do, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And I think that's a true story.
That's very true. So true. And that's why it's like, I want to make sure that I'm clear too, because I know I said like, I wanted to do this episode for me, but it's really not, that's not like the main reason why I wanted to do it. Like, this was just a part of it because I know, like you said, like with COVID and the war going on right now and multiple wars going on right now, actually. And just like the never ending cycle of violence and hatred in the world. Like, I know that grief always happens in multiple ways to everyone. And I know that this is important for us to hopefully like start the conversation in your houses and be able to give you something to hold on to and something for you to share, or some confidence and like us being vulnerable that you can too. And it's going to be okay. Like,
it is going to be okay.
Yeah. And it is going to be okay. Even if it doesn't feel like it. Right. That's one thing that I don't like when people say when I
really say grief too. I've been trying so hard to not say that. It's okay because it's like, listen,
like, well, it's not okay right now.
It's not okay right now.
So let me be. Right. Or when they say, I get when it's like they're in a better place. Yes, I hope so. I don't really know. Can we just talk about how they're not in the place that I want them to be, where I can see them? They're not in this place. So let me get through them not being in this place before you talk about this land in the sky that I've never seen.
Right.
Which everybody, and that's not me making even a commentary on believing anything. That's just a maybe just start when someone goes through grief with, I love you. I can't understand what you're going through right now, but I want you to know that I'm here for you. Right. Not I'm here for you at all hours of the day. Don't promise something you can't keep. Right. Don't say you can call me at 4 a.m. and I'll definitely answer. Right. Say you could try me at 4 a.m. and I will try my best if I wake up, but I'll call you back as soon as I can. You know, like promise stuff that's within your reach. Don't make it this fantasy land, because then it actually helped when people were real with me when I was going through my grief of like, you know, like to be just tell. Honestly, the best thing was when they just said they loved me and they held me and they checked in.
And that's it. You good? It's okay. You need something.
Yeah. And even be like, I know you're not actually good, but like,
I know you're not actually good,
but do you need some food? Are you hungry? Let's get your basic needs met. Right. Because it's so easy to not sleep or eat or anything.
Because that's another thing too, is allowing the next person to go through their process as well. And especially for people who may be dealing with the same, you know, grief on that kind of level, like especially like your parents, you know what I'm saying, so to speak. It's like, you know, they're dealing with that, but then at the same time they have to collectively kind of deal with it, you know, individually and collectively. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But just like, I gotta let that other person go through their process. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know. And I mean, they were not together at that point either. So it was also like they had a balance of like being there for each other, but they also had to be separate a lot of the times anyways, because they weren't together, you know, like, so, but that is one thing I definitely reflected on while it was happening, is just like how beautiful it was to see like my parents just show so much like love and appreciation for each other in that moment. And it was just, I don't know, it meant a lot to me. I don't know if they knew, but it felt like us being like one unit family for the first time in the longest. So and not even in the fact of them like it being one unit because they felt like they were together, like not even in that at all. It's just like that was like a time where we really came together and were emotionally connected with all three of each other, and really giving each other that like in the moment space of we were really there for each other completely and wholly, and really checked in with each other. And that helped me so much, like so much.
We were saying when my family members passed, you know, that was a thing, you know, that was really big when we all, you know, of course, got together and you know, had our own kind of celebrations, and you know, even in the anniversaries, we would do a thing. You know, anniversary that passed somewhere, we'll get together, or we might cook out, and, you know, and again, it's just, you know, in remembrance of that person, and, you know, like I said, and sharing stories, and, you know, you just, like I said, laugh, and, you know, all the good things, so yeah, like, you know, reach out to people, trust in your communities, trust yourself. That's like the
throw an event in their honor, too, because that was a big thing so last year, I threw my sister a birthday party and invited a bunch of her old friends and family members and his family members, her boyfriend's family members, and like it was amazing. It was like the first time in a really long time I was able to like laugh and enjoy like thinking about her, and like I made slideshows of a bunch of different pictures, and like we really decorated it, and we had pictures everywhere, and we like created these drink coasters of pictures of them and then pictures of her, and like that was definitely a great grieving thing. And this was a weird moment, but it was nice to feel like she's still, I don't know. So I didn't get to go to an event that some of my other friends my newer friends were throwing, and I never had mentioned that my sister had died. I don't think I even told them after. And so they were like, oh, well, she'll have another birthday party next year. And I didn't say anything. I didn't even tell them, because imagine how guilty you would have felt if I would have been like, nah, she did. She really even got a birthday this year. Like, you know, like, I don't know. Or if I would have started crying, like, So, but it was a very weird moment that made me feel a lot of different emotions. Oh my gosh, Teddy's going through it. He huffing and puffing. It's because we have to have the air off during this, probably. And he's in the duvet.
I'm like, why he breathing so hard?
Right. But, I mean, we're getting close to the end, so I already gave resources, I gave some stories. What else do you want to talk about? Whoop! I can go through all the different types of grief, but I feel like we've talked about that without the names, you know?
Oh, yeah, talking about like the different, like each different stage?
No, like the different types of grief there are.
Oh, okay. You need to explain me what they are? Do you know what they are?
Yeah.
Just, I mean, you did.
But I mean, there's like 5 million of them, so I don't know if you want. Oh, well, I guess I could talk about what it does to your body a little bit. So, grief can take a physical toll on you. So, just do your best to get your basic needs met. Because, like, you can be tired, get headaches, nausea, joint pain, weak muscles, some tightness in your chest or throat. And I feel that a lot when I'm trying to avoid it. You could have a loss of appetite or increased appetite and not sleeping enough or sleeping too much. And then, like, you go through these weird emotions where you're sad that they died, but also happy that they're not in pain anymore. Right. And then, you know, even with not a death, you can miss your spouse after a divorce, but also feel happy about a new start. Like, I feel that way in a lot of my relationships that have ended. I miss them so much, and every once in a while, I really wish I could create memories with them. But I'm so thankful for my new future without them. But I'm also, like, very lovingly look at our past and, like, appreciate what they taught me and what I hopefully taught them. But, like, the impact that we had on each other. And then if it was, like, someone with an illness, you feel guilt over not seeing or like, being glad that you don't have to take care of them anymore. That's, like, a lot of it. But you can feel anger, sadness, regret at the same time and also feel, like, relief and, like, you can feel all these things that is in this cycle.
Because the ending of it is... Because the fourth one is which one?
The feeling all the same time?
No, the fourth stage.
Oh, depression.
The fourth is depression?
Yeah, it's depression and then acceptance. But, like I said, it goes in different orders. You keep on talking about the 7th stage. I'll look it up for you.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay? Okay, testing, I guess. It's the second to last one.
Who?
It's shock, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, testing, and acceptance. I don't know what testing is.
I don't know what testing is.
You take some tests when you're sad?
I ain't never heard that one either.
I know, me either. Seeking realistic solutions. What is wrong with you, buddy? He's probably really hot. I don't know if y'all can hear him, but everything, I'm going to be such an overprotective mom. It's everything that happens, I'm like,
I'm saying, when it's like you start breathing, it'll be good. It'll be alright, why you?
Mm-hmm.
So you can't breathe, you get sick. His nose supposed to be wet.
Oh yeah, his nose is dry.
It is dry.
Why is it so dry?
You get sick, buddy?
And then I don't, I'm also gonna be really overprotective as a mom because, I just Google everything and see what all is wrong.
You get a lot of diagnosis of
right?
Our third co-host was...
We do need to get him some water.
I saw Sticky might want some water.
Yeah. He's probably dehydrated. And cold water would be good anyways, even if he is, like, hot. Yeah. Because they do pay up to cool themselves off, which is normal, but I always still if he does it a lot, I'm like, out of nowhere.
Right.
What is going on? But yeah.
Okay, I gotta make sure.
We took a detour.
You guys gotta make sure the other co-host is okay.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Make sure all co-hosts
are.
Okay.
This was an example of checking in.
In.
We were just giving you a live example.
Exactly how it goes. That's so funny.
Well,
y'all see us here, man.
I know. Shout out to all my lost loved ones, but especially my favorite, Chandler. I miss you so much. Taught me so much.
My homie Steve's, man. That's what you call him, man. That's my brother, man. So, yeah, man. So,
yeah.
All of the folks, man, and yeah. So.
Yeah, and
support them, live for them.
Yeah.
You know.
Do things that scare you every day.
Seriously, like that's a big thing, man. Like, you know, live for these people, man. Like, because I know so many people who, when people, you know, go there, I mean, they really shut down, conforming versions of themselves, or you know, regress to, like I said, all the bad things. Like I said, the whole thing about any of these stages of grief is cycling through, because that's why I wanted to really focus on this next to last one. At least the last one, the most, is getting to the acceptance point.
Yeah.
And I think whatever your process is, the goal is to get to that acceptance point, because in the process of it all, by the end of it, in that acceptance point, I promise you, like the healing that comes from that,
yeah,
that comes out of that,
it's next level.
It's
and
next level.
I'm also like so mindful of being grateful for every single moment that I have, and I really that's the main thing that's gotten me through life and to grow so much more, is when I stay, sometimes it doesn't happen, but when I stay on it, of like staying mindful and looking at the beauty in every situation, and even if a situation isn't like great or beautiful, like I can look around and see a leaf on a tree and be like, wow, that's so cool, you know, that's life, that's other life. It just doesn't, just because trees don't talk doesn't mean they're not life. Like, so I appreciate other parts of the earth and the world, and sometimes I look at space for fun, even though it's kind of scary. It's beautiful and it's really cool. And then, you know, I have a very spiritual side to me. I am not necessarily like in a religion, but I have very strong spiritual beliefs, and that has helped me too. Like, I'll pray to my sister a lot, actually, because I trust her opinion so much. Like, I pray to her for guidance, and then to my spirits and stuff, and different things that all have different names.
All those things lead me to.
Yeah.
You know, and definitely, you know, gotta accept, man, because people be hurting out here, man.
Yeah.
It's cool. And like you said before, like, you definitely, like, going back to like the same thing with like every experience too. Like, I've been more on like allow myself certain experiences, and then when I'm in those experiences, you know, really taking them in and really, you know, I'm just really like connecting with it and staying in the moment of it all. Because I think life is beautiful, you know. And life is truly what you make it. And I mean, honestly, like I said before, like, as you know, a lot of people don't, like I said, don't want to think about it. A lot of people don't want to talk about it, but I think it is imperative to being conscious of, again, your own mortality, because again, it changes how you live. You know what I'm saying? Not that you want to be thinking about your death all the time, but just being aware of, I think by thinking about your death, you start thinking about how you're living. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, okay, you know, you start really thinking about, what do I want to leave behind? What, you know, like I said before, what's the feeling that when people think about me and I'm going, that I want them to have, you know, and value that. And then that puts you on spectrum too, because at the same time, if you're a shitty person, even more so, become unshitty. You know? Like, you know, you don't want somebody going up there talking about you and they ain't got nothing good to say. Or even in many cases, nobody coming at all. You know? Yeah. Oh, I've experienced funerals like that, and that's just very sad. Yeah. It's very hard. And even if they were like older, it's still like, if you made the impact, there would be other people there. Like, that's why, I mean, I always knew that, oh my God, all these things are falling. I always knew that
like my sister and her boyfriend made such an impact and were amazing people just by the love that they shared with the people around them and the protection. And they were like similar with your friend where like they were hustling but always giving and just like really trying to live a great life and love those around them. And that showed in how many people showed up for them too. Like, and I mean, that's obviously not everything. That doesn't, it matters, but it doesn't. You know what I mean? Like, it's truly like people will be stuck with a thought of you forever. Right. So what thought do you want them to have?
Right. So true.
And so true. It does make me think about some people that they have the thoughts of me that I don't want them to have, but I ain't gonna talk to them again.
Hey, listen, so, right. Hey, so with some people, hey, it is
keep
what it
moving.
Is. And I will say, too, because this kind of is on topic, but not on topic, too, because we're still dealing with lots of grief, you know, when it comes to Michael Jackson. You know, we still haven't fully healed over here from that. I actually had people calling me today. He died. Because I've always been a big Michael Jackson fan. So literally the day he got, people were literally calling, you okay? I was like, listen, I ain't know the man for real. I mean, even though, I do feel
playing over there since you were a kid.
Right. I mean, but they really was calling, you okay? I mean, yeah. I mean, I didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know for real. So, but
I do cry. Like, I cry every time I hear about someone going, really.
Yeah, but I did, you know, I remember, closing all the blinds, making the rooms really dark, and just watching because you know everything. Of course, when Mike died, you know everything was talking. So I just watched everything that was on, and but yeah.
Yeah. If y'all do want to share any stories about your loved ones, feel free to put it in the comments.
Yes.
Or if you need a hand, if you want to reach out, if you're going through something you want to talk about it, we're here for you for sure. And if you want to know more about us, whatever you want to talk about, just throw it at us.
Throw it out there.
Yeah. We definitely want to communicate with y'all more and maybe be able to give more back to you because we appreciate you just listening.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
If there's anything we can do, please let us know.
Absolutely.
We hope that this helped you in some way. And please share your thoughts with us. We're going to go make sure this little boy gets some water, and we're going to turn on the fan.
You're right.
So, we turned up, we're hot for you, and we're still in blankets, okay?
Right.
Because that's how we chill. You got to chill with the blankets. You got to. Oh, yeah, and then before we end, this was my sister's shirt, too. I've had this for forever, so... This was hers. Oh, and I wore her earrings. I wore all these things. Yeah, they were hers. So I do wear things that were hers as a connection to her. And we both have been well endowed our whole life, so a lot of shirts still fit. Pants I can't wear none of her pants anymore, but shirts I can. So these are my pants. But
I don't have any clothes, so clearly.
You do have clothes. Hold on, for audio listeners, there are clothes.
Audio listeners, I have clothes on for sure. But don't have any clothes on. So.
Yeah, you have your memories. He really is panting a lot. Okay, well, we gotta go.
Okay.
But we love y'all
love you
so much.
Yes, yes.
Okay, love you. Bye.